So I'm so excited that you're part of this. Thank you for being here today for the Writing Your Book in 30 Days. And I wanted to talk to you a little bit. Have both of you ladies, did you have the chance to get on and do the pre-work? Did you look through it and did you do it?
Yes, I
Yes.
did. Yeah.
Wow, that's okay. I'm so excited. Now, for those that will be watching the video, we're going to review this a little bit right now. So, what did you learn from going three levels deep when you decided what your message of the work would be? Would either of you be willing to share? Was it different than what you thought, is what I'm wondering.
Um, well, for me, it wasn't different than what I thought, but it was surprising how much it made me think. And
Yay.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I knew there would be questions and um, trying to dig deep, but it was so surface level, I guess. So now it's made me really think and get serious, I
Mhm.
guess. Um, and it's terrifying but liberating at the same time, I
Well,
think.
I'm excited and I want to tell you it's possible to get your book done. I promise you that it is. I wanted to be an author forever and years, 2 decades. And then I finally was like, hell or high water, I'm doing this. And so I'm teaching just what I do. And so I think but part of being able to do it is to get really clear. So that's kind of why I gave that homework because it is deep, but also every time we go a layer deeper, it gives us more content for our book because there's
Yes.
nuances to every single message. So, how about you, Michelle? Is there anything you wanted to share about that?
Well, sure. So I didn't know I wanted to write a book, and then I did. I last year I did like a 12 thing, and you draw out a thing from. Have you heard of that where you draw out until the new year? You do like
Okay.
12 things, and you draw out, and then you just burn the thing. You don't look at it. And the girl was like, write a book, and I just like, oh, okay, I'll write that down. And I knew the entire time, like, I'm supposed to write a book. And then that was last year. And then this
Wow.
this year, I was like the whole year, like, no, I need to write it. And then I put it in there again, and that's what I got for the new year. So I was like,
Okay.
and then this came up, and I was like, yeah, no, I'm supposed to. But I mean, I've known for that whole year that I was working on some stuff and needed to write. Yeah. So
Way to
it
go.
it was the same though for me. Like it really like made me think of like why, and writing that down was awesome. So yeah.
Well, I'm so excited to have both of you here. I know that there's some people that are catching the recordings. So I just want to share with you a couple of statistics. Now I'm pulling these out of the air, so they're not exact, but they're dang close. So 2% of the entire world population ever writes a book, but 80% want to. And so to be here and actually put the keys to the laptop or the pen to the paper, you are one of the anomalies. You are already breaking through just to commit to this class. And I tell you, and I want you to know it's so possible. But also, so far, everybody that's enrolled in this class is female. And here's something that I'm passionate about because I work with women mostly. I work with women's empowerment and a lot of nonprofits with those. So, up until recently, the statistic has been 99%. But in the last 10 years, the percentage is 85% of literary work, of TV shows, of movies, of sitcoms, of all books are written by men. So every single movie that you've seen, almost every single movie you've seen, almost every single sitcom, almost every news article that you've ever read is telling you what a woman is, what a woman feels, what the experience of motherhood is, what the experience of love is, what the experience of relationship is as a woman, written by men. And that has absolutely affected the human condition. That has absolutely affected the psyche of men and women, all genders. And I think that as women, where we, especially here in the Western world, have the ability to speak, to write, to share our message, that we have this gift that not the rest of the world has. And I feel like it's more vital than ever that we begin to share our stories and share our messages. So I'm so excited that you have the courage and the commitment to do this, and it's possible. What I want to share with you also is I had written on my goal list since the time I was in my 20s, write a book, but I didn't ever know what I wanted to write about. And then I believe it was in 2022 that I'd never written a book. I write blogs, I do little things here, and I said I'm going to write this book. And I had a 2-year old, and I said I don't care what it is, whatever it is, I'm going to write it, and it's going to be a journal, and I'll get published, and I'll be a published author even if it's just a journal. So I was lucky enough to meet my publisher, one of my publishers, and Kiara Brinton is her name, of JOA Publishing, and she was just starting out. And so I wrote the Moon Journal, and I had it published within like 3 weeks. And I was so proud of it. So before the year, and it was in December too, I was like, I'm publishing this year no matter what. And I did. And, there's some typos and it wasn't a perfect work, but I had it done. Now, fast forward to 2025, I have authored and co-authored 9 books. I have written a couple big babies, like I call these are like the intensive work ones. And in October, I rewrote the moon to this, to Year of Moon. So I updated it. So just 3 years later, I have authored and co-authored 9 books, and I just updated this in October, and this hit number 66 bestseller across all of Amazon, over 800,000 books in one category, not all the categories, but in one. And it's my most consistent and best-selling book. And it's the what is it, the second edition of that first book that I did, and that's just in 3 years. So currently, yesterday, I sent the final manuscript to my formatter, who I'm going to introduce you all to, or give you the information to, on the 4th week of this. And we are going to have my sound healing manual published in the next 2 weeks. So I'm just telling you that I know this is possible. I have done this over and over and over again, and I know you can do it. The average book is roughly 35,000 to 50,000 words, depending upon the genre that you're doing. And you can typically write anywhere from 2 to 4 pages a day. And 2 to 4 pages a day in 30 days is enough to write your manuscript and to have it ready for your formatter. Now, in this course, I'm going to tell you how to self-publish. And there's some benefits of self-publishing, and there's some caveats to self-publishing. So if you like what I've done with one of my books, Pathway of the Sage, it's the shamanic teachings that I taught. And with the TV show coming out, if you're not aware, so I was featured on a reality TV show called Writer's Island season 1, and they called me back to be part of season 2, where 15 authors get together and we write books. And I actually have a book called Sovereign Soul that's coming out with that. And that TV show launches this spring, so it's not out yet. But with that book, Sovereign Soul, I'm going through the publishing house because I'm going to get exposure, I'm going to get marketing, I'm going to get a lot of opportunities that I wouldn't get with just self-publishing. And what I also did is I hired an editor that's part of the process. And we've gone through 3 different rounds of editing. Now, on some of my books, I've hired professional editors, even New York Times best-selling editors that have gotten books on that list. And on like the Pathway of the Sage, I didn't. And there's some typos in there. Some of the places are a little glitchy, but I wanted to publish that before the show came out because I wanted to make sure and I owned my content. So that was my motivation. So with self-publishing, it's just there's positives and benefits. So we can get your book done in a month, and I'll give you the guidelines of how to self-publish and how to reach out to a formatter that's going to take your manuscript and organize it and put it on Kindle, which is the publishing house on Amazon. But I would also encourage you to think about having an editor based on the work that you're creating. So that's up to you. But I'll talk you through everything, and we're going to get everything done if you'll commit to writing, if you'll commit to the program. Well, this month of just doing the homework, you can do it because I can do it. And if I can do it, anyone can do it. So
Absolutely.
what I wanted to also talk about today, I'm hoping that you have this with you because I challenged you to write a biography. Did anybody get stuck on that? Did anybody get nervous about that? Yes, this is the first step. And now listen, the biography can change. It can absolutely change. But I wanted to give you, I want you to be your future self now. I want you to claim that you are an author. And so, writing your biography to be put on the back of your book, I want you to be able to claim that today. So, I want to invite you to read that. So, who wants to go first?
Go ahead. I think I spent more time on the questions versus the biography. So my biography is, I'm scrolling down to it right now,
Is it
is
kind of
more
patchwork?
is more chicken scratch than biography, I guess. Because it's like I wrote a few things down and then I got to thinking about all the things I left out after the fact. And I didn't really go back, but let me see if
I
what
want
I
to hear your
have.
chicken
Okay,
scratches. Chicken scratches is enough.
right now I have as my name Leanne Talbot, a writer, author, composer, Reiki master, shaman, and I owned a clothing and home decor boutique and a construction company. And
Wow.
in I'm 64, so I've had a pretty full round life. I also worked at for the United States Treasury for nearly 40 years. And in that 38 and a half years, I worked as a tax examiner, a writer, a course developer, an author, a tax specialist, and a senior tax analyst. Um, and then with the family construction company, I would actually even go out and bid jobs and, do bookworking type um, taxes, all of that sort of thing. And then later in life, I got into about 20, I would say close to 25 years ago, I got into do the Reiki master and natural healing. And then, of course, with you, Katie Jo, I did uh, went through the shaman workshop. So, and here I am. I retired from the federal government going on 6 years ago. It was in 2020, right before the shutdown. A week before, well, 2 weeks before the shutdown, I retired. So,
That would have
um,
been because yeah, that would have been when you were in the courses too, was before that. Now, Leanne, what is the message of your book? What is your book about? Is it a fiction or nonfiction?
well, it's kind of both. I mean, because I'm basing a lot of it off of my life experiences. Um, So
What would your book be about?
it's it's about understanding life experiences at different ages because
Oh, okay.
um the old saying, if I only knew then what I know now, as
I
as
like
kind
that.
of a kind of a tagline. Because I have it's like your life experiences. Say some people grow up in the same neighborhood or similar parents, similar backgrounds, similar belief systems. Yet some people are able to climb their way out of that box and experience life on different levels, while other people, say, for example, me versus my cousin, who is paranoid schizophrenic, and I could relate to what she was going through so much that I validated her hearing voices. It's like everyone, would say that is in all in her head, where I would talk to her and I'm like, well, what are they saying? What are they? I validated that I thought what she was hearing was real. And I
Mm,
was and I was working with her, um, helping to overcome her limitations because of this affliction that she had. And
so
go ahead.
so getting back to biography, let's because what I understand, what I hear you saying is that there's just so much and trying to condense it.
Hmm.
It's like, so we're gonna get to that.
Okay.
So now that I kind of understand what your book's about and where you're coming from, that helps me because part of what we're doing today is helping both of you and all of those that are going to be on the recording to
Right.
understand because I think trying to take a whole life experience and condense it into one paragraph is daunting for anyone because we're like this kaleidoscope of so many different things. So I'm glad you're sharing and I want to let's hear what Michelle's biography is. Did you write it? Will you read it out loud?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay,
I
let's
will.
hear it.
Okay, so Michelle Aquola is a 44-year-old stay-at-home mom. She has raised two wonderful kids, Kylina, 23, and TK, 21. She became a mom at 21, and that was all she allowed herself to dream of. She was taught that that was the only path for her. Michelle knows that path would lead her to so many amazing things. Michelle, along with her husband Vern, raised the most amazing, strong kids in the world. Vern spent most of his days working hard and growing a very successful roofing business. This has been amazing for the family, but left Michelle to wonder what was next for her. How could she help others and become her most powerful self? Michelle has always loved others so hard, but didn't find value in showing herself love. As her kids grew, they started sharing small nuggets with Michelle that made her want to become the best version of herself. Kylina shared with her how, when she was young, that she thought if I could only be as beautiful as my mom, I will live a happy life. Michelle never felt beautiful, never felt fully loved, and was seeking that from other people. She did not know that love and beauty was all around her. She did not know that she was blocking all of this. Michelle needed to find love and beauty in herself to truly grow into the amazing person she is today.
What a beautiful writing. Well done. So, Michelle, tell me what your book's about.
Um, Learning to love yourself so we can teach others how to love us is mainly,
Awesome.
yeah.
So, based on what both of you have shared so far, what I would tell you, and I'm going to straight shoot on this, is those are going to be introductions, not biographies. So, they're not lost work. It's so when you're writing the book, what you want to do is you want to have an introduction that says, this is why you should listen to me, and this is um, why I'm qualified to share what I'm here to share with you. And so with both of what you've shared, you're like, it's wonderful. And it gives me a sense of understanding of what you want your message to be. So when we come to biography, we want to say it in a simple way in one paragraph. So I want to show you two examples. So one of the examples that I have, and I'm going to share screen, is for the book that I just have in formatting today. Let's see. Hopefully you can see my screen. Can you both see it?
Yes, I can see it.
Okay. So I want to show you the biography that I'm using on the back of this sound healing manual. This is actually the manuscript that I sent, okay? So right here, it says Katie Jo is the founder of Sage Naos LLC and Sage Naos Educational Programs. Her work in sound treatment began in 2006, volunteering at cancer retreats. She has since become a forerunner in the sound treatment therapy industry. She is a best-selling author, international public speaker, accomplished artist, featured on Legacy Makers TV and Writers Island TV docuseries. Katie Jo is a Reiki master teacher, bars, access consciousness practitioner, spiritual studies master teacher, offering comprehensive training course online and in person. Her book, Pathway of the Sage, offers ancient sound techniques as well as applied ceremonial practices. As a student of esoteric and ancient truth, she merges worldwide myth, legend, and healing techniques with modern day leading edge science. So, do you see how this would be like? This is why. So, on your biography for the specific book, you want to say, this is why I'm an expert in this. Okay. So, based on what your message is, you need to say, this is why I am. So, for Michelle, where now I've worked with a lot of stay-at-home moms, so I don't want to assume for you, but when I have, they've said, well, what are my credentials? I think that your credentials are becoming a mother at 21 years old. Michelle doesn't know life without children. I don't know your age, but it's hard to remember. I would say something along the lines of like being a mother. She's been a mother longer than she's not been, and I don't know. I don't know your age. So you could say, and through that journey, she learned how easy it is to feel discarded, to feel unseen, to feel like the sidekick to the superhero husband or the maid, the cook. And she has learned through that process, self-love comes from within. Do you see? So I'm saying exactly what you're saying. But this is why people should listen to you. If I was thinking of Leanne, I would say exactly what you said, which is, I am the matriarch of my family. The I am in the window of the wise woman having lived a long life. I have been the businesswoman. I have been the energetic healer. I have been the religious devout. I have been the wayward soul. And I'm here to tell you that through all of it, there has been a thread of knowing of my soul. Do you see? So, like, that would say, okay, I understand why she's qualified to speak about this. And I also understand what this book is going to be about. Now, the reason I'm bringing that up is because now I want to come over here. So this is my author bio for Pathway of the Sage. Now, the back description is different, but we're going to go to author bio. Katie Jo Finai is a visionary author, artist, and international speaker featured on these shows. I mentioned that. A master of Reiki, sound healing, shamanic philosophy, merging ancient wisdom with modern mastery, guiding global audiences to live from alignment, authenticity, and abundance. Through her teachings, art, and presence, Katie Jo inspires others to awaken their inner sage, embody their highest frequency, and lead lives of purpose, prosperity, and peace. So it's very similar because that's who I am. But see, this is a little more catered towards towards that book specifically.
So
So
do
let
you start with, say, a template so that you can mix and match to your book genre?
I can I can provide that for you, but like I want one of the biggest mistakes that I see in people writing their bios is too much information
Okay.
and also talking about people other than themselves. Did you notice in both of my bios it says nothing about my kids, nothing
Hmm.
about my husband? Your bio is supposed to say, this is why you should listen to me. Okay. And I see, especially women, much more than men when they write their bios, whether this is for business or anything else, that they'll say, you know, I have 6 kids, my hobbies are this. Now, Michelle, your book kind of encapsulates that. So that would be
Right.
relative in your bio.
Okay.
But be aware that you're talking about why they should listen to Michelle.
Mm,
So it would
right.
say Michelle is a mother of this, you know, so like becoming a mother here where her lights were swept away and living for other people around her, making sure everyone was taken care of. And somewhere in that abyss, in that ocean, she needed to find the anchor of her. So you can still include that because it's relative to your book and it supports why people should be listening to you. But make sure
Okay.
that you're not saying, this is what my husband is doing, this is what my kids are, because we naturally do that. I think that women, especially mothers, naturally do that regardless. Now, so yours is a unique situation, Michelle, because your book is about that. But be careful when you write that bio that you're talking about, this is why you should listen to Michelle. Because
Okay.
I know with what your content is, it's one of the most important things that women need, especially stay-at-home moms, because there's not an outward validation. Um, I know you mentioned seeking outward validation, but when we have careers, we go, okay, I got a raise. Oh, I hit this goal. Oh, I hit this benchmark. Oh, you know, so there's a lot of stuff that happens in our lives that we can look at and go, click, 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 click. And being a stay-at-home mom, which I was for a while when my kids were young, it's like Groundhog Day. And it's the same thing over and over and over and over again. And when we look at our achievements, we look at our achievements of like it's like, oh, look, my baby's walking. And that feels like our achievement. And it, but you see, it's automatically like, oh, I helped them on the science project and they got an A. So even then, like we get lost in that. And I think that's really important. So I'm just saying it's easy to start throwing those things out of us, but you deserve to be heard because dang, that's a hard. I think that being a stay-at-home mom is the hardest, second hardest job in the world. I think being a single mom's first because I've done
Hmm.
both. Leanne, remind me, have you done both? Because I
I'm
felt like
sorry.
you were a single mom at some point, weren't you?
Yes, yes.
And that's whew.
Yes.
And
I
especially
I've
because
been I've
you
been
have
this.
to do everything like it's both, but being a mom, motherhood, I think is the hardest
Yeah.
role that any woman
Yes.
takes on.
I've been the mother of 3 kids and then a single mother of one and then a single mother of a handicap. So
Yeah.
it's like my experiences have evolved and changed over time
Yes.
because of life circumstances. So
And it's such and so like with what both of you are sharing too about what you feel like your messages are, I just feel like it's so important for women to hear, the world to hear. But that kind of moves us forward to some of the things I wanted to talk about today. So, and I hope that this has given you a little bit of guidance. So, going over the review. So, when we go 3 levels deep, um, all of this is giving you content. But when we write the book, we have to have a book that has what's called an arc. And we're going to go more over this next week. But when we do the arc, you see it in every single movie, every single book, and this is the arc: beginning, middle, end. So when you know what your message is, and you say, like, for example, my book is Sovereign Soul, it's coming out, and it's really teaching, and the message of my book is that nobody has spiritual authority between you and Creator. No one. There's no patriarch, there's no pastor, there's no spiritual guru. You have direct access to Creator, to your spiritual guidance, and you have the authority to make the decisions that are right for you. So that is the message of this book that is in editing with the TV show. So now I have to say, this is my message. How can I tell this story from beginning, middle, and end that supports this message? Because a lot of times when we're writing a story or writing a manuscript, there's so much that's coming to us and so many good stories that we want to put it in, but it's not necessarily relative to the message. And even with this book, my editor kept coming back. She's like, I like your chapter, but I don't see how this supports your message. It's a good story, but it doesn't necessarily support the message of the book. So when you're writing, every single beginning, middle, end has to be sharing, how does this support the message? Now, when we start in the beginning is, what is the antithesis? So the beginning is usually where we start, and then the end is going to be what change has occurred. So when we write, a good story and a good book always has, this is how I changed as a human in the beginning to the end. This is the change that I want for my reader to experience in themselves from the beginning to the end. And in the middle, we are going to have a crossroads. So if you think of like any of the great stories, The Lord of the Rings, you have cute little Frodo who's sitting there in the Shire. Nothing's wrong. But he has to take an adventure. And who Frodo is at the end and who Frodo was at the beginning is a completely different person. And in the middle, there was conflict or the crossroads. And that is what creates a great book. So when we're going to go a little deeper in that next week, but I want to make sure that you're aware of that, because I don't want you to write all this week and then kind of get to next Monday and go, wait a second, I have to redo it, because you don't. When you're writing this week, I want you to simply say, there's a beginning, there's a middle, and there's an end. And from the beginning to the end, there has to be a change in myself. There has to be a change in the reader from beginning to end here. And that'll help you when you're downloading all of these messages and all of these writings, even if you're bringing something in, like, I just feel like I'm supposed to write this story down, I'm going to write it down. And then you can say, where does this fit? Does it fit in the beginning to show how it was? Does it fit in the end to show how it now is? Or does it fit in the middle to show the conflict that created the change? And by conflict, it also just could be crossroads. Any questions on that so far?
No.
This is exciting. This is exciting. I'm really excited about this. So here's my hack. ChatGPT. So when I did this year to do 3 books out this year, but this is what I do. I don't believe that anyone should have AI write their book for them. But if you say, this is my message, if you have ChatGPT, there's free versions and there's paid versions. I have the $22 a month version because the $22 a month version, you can say, like I will upload, like I'll write a story and then I'll upload it and I say, edit this, but keep the way my voice, my words, my cantor, edit minimally, look for grammar, look for clarity, look for streamlining, but don't change the integrity of what I've written. So that way I'm using it as an effective tool, but I'm not using it to write my book. And with my own style of writing, it's still using my voice and my canter. So it's authentic and it catches those little duplicate words. It's not perfect and it's not an editor, but a lot of times what it will give back to you is something better or more streamlined and clearer. So this week, where you have the clarity on this is my message, this is my bio, but also I want you to think, and we're going to take a couple minutes, and I want to have each of you, we're going to write for a few minutes, and I want you to say, this book is for example, like for mine, people who are looking for truth that know it's inside of them, right? The change I want them to feel when they read my book is to know that no one has your answers other than you. And if you make mistakes, it's okay. And you can come out of that by trusting yourself. Listen to mentors, but don't give them your power, right? So that's kind of the arc of my book that I've just written, that I'm almost at the tail end of. So then I would say, taking that, I want us to do that. And then I want us to put it in. I put that into ChatGPT and I say, this is the message of my book. This is what I want the reader to experience. Can you give me an outline of what you would suggest the book flow goes? And ChatGPT will say, you could say chapter 1 is how it started as a kid. Chapter 2 could be like what happened in your teenage years. That was the foundation of this. Chapter 3, tell a story that explains your message and what really was the breaking point. Do you see what I mean? It'll tell you. And then it's like you've got this outline that says, and they're not writing it for you. They're saying this is an outline that flows with the message you want to give. And then you write it. Because there's so many times that I sit at the computer and I have no idea what to write. And I use that outline and I don't use it as a dictator or a boss. I use it to go, okay, I have writer's block. Oh, well, I could write on this. I could write about the challenges of, living in a really conformist religious society when I'm not part of that religion, right? I could write that and I could write 3 or 4 paragraphs on that. And a lot of times when you start to write, then that expands and it begins to blossom. So, what I want us to do right now is I want us to take a moment and we're going to take about 5 minutes and I want us to write, what is the change I want my reader to experience from beginning, where they might be, to the end. Okay. Now, I figured out, I'm just going to play music and I think I'm just going to play background music while we do this. And I have it all keyed up. So go ahead and about 5 minutes before we do, I want us to everyone just close your eyes, take a breath, and I want you to breathe until you feel your heart space. Now, as you're breathing, I want you to feel that heart space expand like light. And I also want to invite whatever your faith system is, whatever your understanding of Creator is, I would like to have you invite that into your space and ask that your mind is clear, that your knowing is clear, that your ears are clear, that your hands, that your fingers are clear as you're writing, that your heart is clear, and simply say, guide me to the beginning and end of what I want my reader to experience from reading this book. And just feel that in your body. And when you're ready, we'll meet back here all at 11:46. And can you guys hear the music in the background? No? Okay.
I cannot hear it. No.
All right. Can you ladies hear me?
Yes.
Come on back. And I'd like to hear just what you wrote and just go straight into it because this is true, true work. And Michelle, this time let's start with you. And you don't have to read the whole thing, but read as much as you'd like.
Okay, I didn't get a ton. So the beginning of this book shows a little girl who was the second to youngest in a family of seven. She often got bossed around and told exactly what she was supposed to do. She never knew how to do anything unless someone was telling her how to do it. She was even bossed by her younger sister. She went through grade school, got kicked down, and told she wasn't smart enough. She entered middle school and loved to dance. She had always been a dreamer and knows she was going to be famous someday. Entered high school, was looking for validation for her looks from boys, found it and was treated like crap because she didn't know how to love herself. She was beat down. That's all I got.
Okay, so that's a great beginning.
Okay.
So, what you have left to do is to say where she is now.
Okay.
Now,
Okay.
the reason I like to teach this from the beginning and go straight to the end and not the middle
Mhm.
is because the middle's going to work its way out. Okay. You're going to
Okay.
show, the book is going to show how that process occurred. But when we're writing, we need to know where we're going. Okay. So that's where she was. So what I heard you say was always being told what to do, not knowing the answer. But I also heard she loved to dance. And I also, but then there was also looking for validation from others, from specifically boys. So when I hear you say what you've said, the threads that I see weaving through that is there was always a spirit inside that dancer that wanted to move and dance and leap. And I think that that could be the core, like the core light through all of this, through beginning, middle, and end. And I think while I don't know what your ending is, you can say, this is where I am now. And my life can look the same. It can, meaning like being a stay-at-home mom, because this is what I think a lot of people see and think. When I work with a lot of stay-at-home moms, they're like, no, I have to go travel the world. I have to be on stages. I have to like, I have to like do all this stuff. And then I'm going to totally be living everything that I am. Being a stay-at-home mom is enough. It
Mhm.
is, can be all of that. It's the internal, so it can look exactly the same as it did in the beginning. And I don't know where your book is and how it's going to go, but it could be that internal flow. Because I feel like the women and people that would read this book would go, well, I don't know if I have millions of dollars to go travel the world and take a Mediterranean cruise, right? And that would still be outward validation.
Mhm.
But like from what I hear you saying, it's just that I know my truth, I know my answers. And maybe at the time when I made all these choices, I didn't know it was right for me, but it is right for me, right? So
Right.
so create that, and then by hopefully by tomorrow, I would like for you ladies, if you don't have ChatGPT, and I'm not telling you to pay for it or buy it, but ask it. You can go in there and it's free and say, I'm writing a book. This is the beginning. This is the end. This is the message I want to give. Can you give me an outline to follow? Okay. And it's going to set you up with that. Okay, Leanne, are you ready? I'd want to hear yours if you're, I would love to hear it.
Okay. Well, this is what came out of me.
Beautiful.
Um, Validation and self-worth, deserving and worthy of more things that life has to offer than what others or themselves have pigeonholed them into. It's about self-discovery, opening a door or a window to their soul that they didn't know was there. which will which increases empathy for themselves and others. The book will take them on a journey of honoring the child in themselves and forgiveness and forgiving the adolescent, the self-sabotage, the addictions, and the survival living mode, and then forgiving and giving the adult version of themselves permission to take chances and to be adventurous and committed, and then appreciating in the end of the book what that journey has brought them as far as being where they are, and then living that freedom, that they're not, even though they're older, it's like they still have so much life left to live. It's not like the end.
I love this, Leanne, and the way that you're explaining it has so much visual imagery. You're using the words inner child, you're saying open the door to my soul. It's very poetic. I love that because that's the way you're explaining it, the way that you're going to write it. I would encourage you when those images come in to express what, because everything you're saying is so poignant. And I would just encourage you to use those visual imageries. So, like when you talk about opening the door to the soul, I would encourage you, and of course, take this and throw that into Chat GPT for the outline. But as you're writing this week, and this would apply to you also, Michelle, is people remember pictures in their minds. And so ask yourself, how can I create the picture in the mind? So on the analogy or the metaphor of the opening the door, just, you could say it's like finding yourself in a darkened tunnel or climbing a stairway one step at a time in the darkness and reaching for the knob and clutching that brass in your hand, turning and opening to be flooded with light. See, that's based on what you just said, but that creates the experience for the reader to be viscerally there. And
Right.
I love the way that you're both explaining. What I wanted to ask you ladies right now is, it's important for this to work for you to commit to writing. I have been shocked, even in my publishing house, to publish the books that we did this last year was, and this is part of the benefit and the not benefit of going with a publisher. It was $100,000 for me to do. And I have been surprised at how many of the authors have done it and invested and haven't been writing. And they'll say, oh, I just didn't feel like it today. Oh, I was busy today. For you to get your book out in a month, you need to write. And so I want you both to just right now make a promise to yourself, because it's not a promise to me. I want you to say, this is when I will write. And I find for myself, it has to be dedicated. For me, I woke up before my family was awake. I set the alarm and I woke up an hour before they were awake, because 1 hour of uninterrupted time for me when I could be alone, and in that moment I would pray and I would write, pray to get centered, and I would write. And a lot of times they would sleep in longer and I could write longer. But I promised myself, that was a promise I made to myself, a way to serve and give myself. And that, having my book complete, was more important than getting an hour of sleep. Now, if that works for you, great. Some people are night owls. So if you're going to do it at night, great. Some people will set an alarm at noon for lunchtime and they'll write through their lunch break, or they'll tell their family, this is 4 o'clock to 5 o'clock is when I'm writing. But I would like for you ladies to realistically commit and look at your calendar and say, where can I find 1 hour a day? Okay. Because if you write 1 hour a day, which is 2 to 4 pages a day, your book will be done by the end of the month.
Yep. Little steps add up.
What'd you say?
Little steps add up to lots of steps.
And it makes it so easy. If today, I want you to today put into ChatGPT, because once you have that outline, it takes out so much of that writer's block. Because you'll have your beginning, you'll have your end, and then your outline will tell you. Now, ChatGPT doesn't know you. So it might not know that you need to include that story when you were 22. That's totally relative. But that outline is going to be a ladder that you can climb, but you're going to have to do the climbing. And then next week, we're going to go through what's called the hero's journey. And we're also going to review some of your writing. So by next week, I want you to be able and prepared to read at least 2 to 3 paragraphs of what you've written, of anything, to share. We're not critiquing each other. We're not telling people that you're good or bad, but that's going to be part of it. And then get your writing done, and we'll go over what's called the hero's journey. So thank you for today. I'm going to hop off. We're right at time, and I have another call at noon. It's been a pleasure. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm so excited for this. I'll send my notes with the recording of this if you're thinking, hold on, that'll be the framework of this week, okay?
Thank
Thank you.
you so much.
Yeah.
We'll see you
Thank you.
next week.
Okay.
Okay.